Welcome to our winter 2027-2028 launch. And myself and Angie were just talking about this morning, and the launches just come around so quickly, don't they? It doesn't feel like that long ago I was actually talking to you all about our summer 2027 programme, and here we are talking about the winter of 2027. Now, if you don't know me and you're new to P&O Cruises, my name is Steph Adams and I'm the Training and Engagement Manager at P&O Cruises, proudly so. And I'm joined by our lovely training executive, Angie Angelova. So this morning, I'm going to share with you all of the details that you need to make this winter launch a success. We're going to see and talk through the collection, the timeline. I'm going to show you our ships deployment, and then we are going to delve deeper into some of the fantastic destinations that our fleet of 7 ships can take your guests to go and have true holiday happiness. So how does all of that sound? Please do give me those reactions when you see or hear something you like. Now, if you do want to get involved, you can get involved very easily by clicking on the polls section at the bottom, and there's some quiz questions in there where there's some shine points up for grabs. So do you want to just check that you can get into those, and you can play along as I'm talking, and of course let's see if we can give you some shine points. Now, if you do have any questions throughout this presentation, our Angie is manning the Q&A and the chat function, so please do pop them in the chat. But I'm hoping as we go through this presentation, I will answer a lot of your questions. There's always a lot of method in some of my madness. So let's get cracking. This collection will provide your customers with plenty of opportunity for exploration and holiday bliss as wide as the oceans that we sail. So let's get going. Oh, sorry, my screen is not playing ball today. And I am going to reshare this, and I'm going to hit let's go. So I want to start with our collection, and this is our brochure. Now, we have not had a brochure looking like this before, and I think this really will stand out for our customers because this shows from all of the different pictures that you can have whatever holiday you like with P&O Cruises, whether it's an adventure break, a beach break, a holiday, a family holiday, a city break. P&O Cruises can get your customers to holiday like never before. This is an absolute bumper collection with 223 brand new cruises, which is 223 new opportunities for you to talk about P&O Cruises. We're visiting 25 ports where we stay overnight, including places like Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Hong Kong, Rio de Janeiro and San Francisco. We've got 26 ports where we depart later than 9 p.m. in the evening, which is great to get under the skin of a destination. And it's really nice to see what somewhere's like when the sun goes down. It also makes our customers realise that, with cruising, we do stay in port for much longer, giving them the opportunity to explore further afield. And we're going to do that in places like Auckland, Casablanca, Mauritius, San Diego and Tromsø. We're visiting 9 ports that we've not visited in over 5 years, including Nagasaki in Japan, Busan in South Korea and Malé in the Maldives. Finally, as part of this collection, we've got 12 Peninsula Club cruises. So for those guests who are in our loyalty programme, the Peninsula Club, well, they are going to get an additional discount on top of the campaign discount I'm going to talk to you through in a minute, just by being a loyal member of our club. So how does that sound? What a bumper collection. And we're going to explore all of that right now. Now, the embargo has lifted and we are shouting loud and proud right now. So you Once you've come off this webinar, go and get promoting everything that I'm talking to you about this morning. But we do go in to a staggered launch next week. And we do that because, quite frankly, no one does a launch like P&O Cruises. And of course, we need to make sure we've got all of our systems set up. So on Tuesday, the 21st of October, anybody that is in our top tiers of that Peninsula Club in the Caribbean, Baltic and Liguerian tiers, well, you're able to book on the 21st from 8:30 in the morning. And then we have general sale across Wednesday and Thursday. So October to December 2027 departures go on sale on the Wednesday, and then January to March departures go on sale on Thursday. Now, it's really important that I point this out, that fluid pricing is applicable from 10 a.m. on the 22nd and the 23rd of October, and that's the general sale days. So I'm going to say thank you in advance for the early morning starts. However, you will want to convert your pre-registrations that you'll collect from today right through until Tuesday and turn them into bookings on Polar Online next week on the applicable day. Now, if any of you are new and are wondering what pre-registration means and how on earth do you quote during this time, then we have a follow-up webinar at midday today, and Angie's going to talk you through the process of pre-registration, because you don't convert any bookings on Polar Online until these days. Does that make sense? So we will explain all of that if you need a bit more detail. But a nice, easy timeline for us to work from. Now let's get into the campaign and actually look at the timeline. We have got until the 17th of December to get your customers excited and get them to want to book this winter programme. Now at P&O Cruises, we always do have two price points in the market. And as far out as we are looking, we have the select price, which is our all-round brochure price, where guests can choose their cabin, they can choose their dining time, they can choose from a range of benefits, from onboard spending money to car parking and coach transfers for over 7 nights. Or you have the early saver fares, where guests may pay a less of a fee, but they don't have the choices available, like the cabin number and their dining time. So you will see on the screen here which benefits apply for which fare type. But I'm going to talk about the select price, because it is the select price where your customers are going to get a 10% early bird discount. So this is what you need to discount from the fare grids when you are quoting, but a nice 10% early bird discount. There's also those 12 Peninsula Club cruises that I will show you in a minute, that anybody who is within our loyalty scheme is able to take an additional 5% discount off. They will pay a 10% deposit, which is lower than our brochure terms of course, 15%. And then for the first time ever, we're really pleased to say that you were able to book the classic drinks package on Polar Online for your customers. And that's a real win-win situation, because for you guys, we will bundle that price up for the classic drinks package into one price for you all. But for customers, if they think maybe down the line they want to add the drinks package, they of course can do prior to their holiday and book it on My Holiday, but they get a 10% discount. So it's really worth booking it at time of launch. So for the select price, there could not be a better time to book that discount, the deposit, the drinks package, and those Peninsula Club discounts. But of course, if you do have price-led guests that are not worried if they don't want to choose the particular cabin they're going into, or, worried about their dining time, then they may book on the early saver fare, in which case they can take advantage of the 10% deposit and the classic drinks package. But when I show you the prices in a second, you are going to want to be talking about the select price, because with that discount that we've got, it's just incredible. Now, let's have a look at these lead fares, because what I love about P&O Cruises is the value of our holidays. When you think about dining and entertainment around the clock with great service coming as standard, when you look at these lead fares, it is unbelievable. These lead fares that you can see on the screen here are before that 10% discount has been applied. So, of course, I'll look at Britannia, my favourite ship. I'll look at her Spain, Portugal and Canary Island cruise, which is a 14-night cruise. Before discount, 929. Now, if you take that 10% discount off and then divide it by the 14 nights, this will lead in at under £60 a night. Now, I've worked at P&O Cruises for nearly 15 years, and I was always told when I first started that any cruises under £100 a night is brilliant value. Well, that is spectacular. I'm sure you will agree. So we've got a whole range of cruises, and these lead fares are detailed on Shine Rewards Club. These are the ones that are held, so you are able to promote knowing that they're available. So give me the thumbs up if you love some of these absolutely incredible prices. And I'm sure many of you are going to go and promote these as soon as this webinar is over. Now, the other great news is that we do also have free spaces, because at P&O Cruises we do offer discounts for supplementary guests. And as you can see from this grid here, they do vary by fly and non-fly, by duration, time of the year, whether it's peak or non-peak. But also we do have a different rate for the third and fourth guests in our cabins if it varies by grade. But as you can see, non-peak holidays over 6 nights from Southampton, free places. So free spaces for third and fourth guests. Could there be a better time at launch for families to book? I think not. Now, everybody, adult and child, can take advantage of the 10% discount. However, I must point out that infants do not get the early bird discount. So if you've got a couple taking away an infant, you would price from the fare grid, the 2 adult price, take off their 10% discount and then add on the infant price. Now, when you see from £99, not going to make a huge amount of difference with your quoting, but of course you want to be correct at the time. So just do bear that in mind. And this gives you a snapshot of what the fares look like. But we have incredible family-friendly facilities on our ships, so do promote to our families. Now, there's a whole list of cruises with these free guests on as well. So you can see Arcadia, Aurora, Ventura, Britannia. There's plenty of options for these free spaces. Now, I just want to touch on the Peninsula Club cruises just to make it really clear about what I mean. Now, past guests can be a past guest, but without being in the Peninsula Club. People may have sailed with us 1 to 14 nights, but they won't yet have qualified to be in the Peninsula Club. It's only customers that have sailed with us for 15 nights or more that enter the Peninsula Club and therefore get the additional discount. So you will need to check with your customer if they are within the club. But on these particular cruises, you would take the 10% discount from the fare grid off. And then if they are in that Peninsula Club, you would give them a further 5% discount. So it's combinable, but not cumulative. So take the 10% off and then the 5%. It does make a difference. So I hope that is clear. but a lovely range of cruises to just enhance that offering for those guests who come back time and time again. And we know at launch, a lot of our past guests do book in advance. So a brilliant campaign, right? Low deposit, drinks packages. We've got the 10% early bird discount. Really, launch is a fantastic time to book. But what are your customers going to be booking? Well, first off, let's explore what's new. And, because so many guests come back to us time and time again, it is always nice to be able to pull out the new news from the programme. So first off, and you may have heard the news, but we are going to put both of our XL ships, Iona and Avia, known for their freedom, variety and innovation. Both of those ships will be in the Caribbean to operate 14 night fly cruises. So there is a lot of opportunity for you to sell our Caribbean fly cruises, with those two sister ships being based out there from October to April. Now, the new news also continues because you're used to being able to see turnarounds or guests being able to join the ship in Barbados and Antigua. But for the first time ever for this winter programme, guests will be able to join from St Kitts too. So there's going to be lots of options for our customers to go and soak up that sunshine and island hop around the Caribbean. Next up, we have to talk about Ventura's brand new Scandinavia deployment. Now, she does also have some other cruises, including short breaks in Spain, Portugal and the Canary Islands. But she's got some new 7 and 8 night Northern Europe and Scandinavia breaks, which feature overnight calls in either Copenhagen or Oslo. We do have an 8-night cruise as well that leaves Southampton on New Year's Eve. So see the bright lights of Southampton and then sail off to welcome in the new year as well. But she's got a brilliant deployment for these 7 and 8-night cruises. And I think they're going to be very, very popular. Now, did you know we are going to have the longest world cruise since 2000, and it is set to be an epic adventure on board Arcadia. Now, she's going to operate an extended 124-night world cruise, and we're expanding her destination portfolio with the inclusion of Japan, South Korea and Thailand. And I'm going to talk you through the itinerary in a little while. We're going to have a bit of a dreaming session because the world cruise is incredible. We've got overnight stays in Sydney, Hong Kong, Singapore, San Francisco, Cape Town, and now Tokyo. So I think this is going to be a very, very popular world cruise. Now, in other new news, we of course have Azura that Angie and myself have just returned from. Now, in the winter months, we of course base her out of Tenerife to offer our Fly Canaries programme. But to enhance that programme a bit further, we've now introduced a couple of Moroccan ports in Agadir and Casablanca on selected cruises. So it will just give our guests a bit more variety for that winter sunshine. Now, Britannia, she's got a brand new 21-night Central Mediterranean cruise at the end of February. And this has got an overnight stay in the very vibrant city of Istanbul. Plus, she'll visit Piraeus for Athens, Malta, Sicily, Tangier in Morocco, La Goulette for Tunis and Cadiz too. So going from Southampton 21 nights at a quieter time of year, I think that's going to be an incredible cruise. And then finally, I have to look at South America for Aurora, our smallest ship in the fleet. But she is going to return to the popular South America Circumnavigation Grand Tour. So 75 nights exploring Brazil and Chile and some beautiful scenic cruising. And we'll look at that itinerary in a little while. So what a fantastic section of new news. Who would agree? Now, of course, we love a ship maiden call. If you've got a favourite ship like I do, although Azura's coming nearly pipping my Britannia at its post at the moment. I see Angie nodding as well. Britannia, if you've got a favourite ship, then all your customers have got a favourite ship, then it's likely you would not have maybe visited some of the destinations on the ship maiden cruise. So I always think that's really nice. So, for example, travelling on Britannia all the time, I wouldn't have been to Istanbul on her, or La Goulette, or the Azores either. So the ship maiden calls give those guests that have a ship favourite something different to do. Now, the next slide I'd just like to show, just because I think it's a really nice, easy, clean way to be able to see by ship where they will be based and the types of itinerary that they will offer. So you can really articulate to your customers what the winter programme looks like. Of course, you can see the fly cruises on there that we've talked about already, Avia, Iona and Azura. And I will talk to you about the flight options that we have in a little while, because we've got flights from all around the country and we can make this really easy for your customers. But you can see we have Britannia and Ventura based out of Southampton for the whole winter, giving a nice variety of cruises. We said about Ventura having her new Northern Europe and Scandinavia cruises and some short breaks. Britannia, she goes off to that Mediterranean 21-night cruise we just talked about. But she is also the only ship in the fleet that will have the UK Caribbean cruise. And we'll explore that in a little while. But it is the winter programme where I really do feel that Arcadia and Aurora, our discovery ships, come into their own. Not only do they go off on those world cruises or grand tours, they give our customers the absolute opportunity to go and explore more niche ports and lesser frequented ports too. Aurora, for example, goes off to put our guests in search of the Northern Lights, and we've got some brilliant cruises to talk about there. Arcadia, well, she goes and explores Spain, Portugal and the Canary Islands too, and she's got some beautiful Mediterranean cruise as well. So a really nice deployment and so much variety and choice. We said over 200 itineraries. Buy 7 ships, one for every day of the week. I'm sure you will find something for your customers. So who wants to get dreaming? Shall we look at the itineraries in a little bit more depth? And first off, we have to explore the epic adventure that will be our world cruise. Now, many of our guests do the world cruise as a lifestyle choice. They want to go and escape the winter, and it is certainly a lifestyle choice I'm looking for in the future. Others may do this as a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list ticking experience. But let me tell you, I want you to indulge me for a second, because I want you to close your eyes and imagine you are coming on the most incredible journey with me. We're going to depart Southampton on the 6th of January and we're going to visit a whopping 37 ports in one holiday. Can you imagine 37 ports? I collect fridge magnets. I wouldn't have a big enough fridge, I don't think. So that's fantastic. But our customers are going to leave behind the winter blues in Southampton and head to the sunshine of the Caribbean via Gran Canaria. She'll visit Barbados and Aruba before transiting the iconic Panama Canal. She'll visit Manzanillo before heading up the coast to San Diego and San Francisco. She'll visit Honolulu and Nawiliwili in Hawaii before heading to Samoa and Fiji. Arcadia then reaches New Zealand for calls into Auckland, Tauranga and Wellington before heading to Australia to explore Sydney, the Whitsunday Isles and Cairns. From there, she heads to Japan via Papua New Guinea, and she will explore Nagasaki, Kagoshima and Tokyo before a call into Hong Kong. Next, she's off to Manila, Nha Trang in Vietnam and Lam Shabang before heading to Singapore and on to Port Kelang for Kuala Lumpur. Arcadia then heads to Malé and the Maldives via Colombo before heading to Mauritius and on to South Africa, with calls to Durban, Port Elizabeth, and Cape Town. Arcadia then heads home via Walvis Bay, Cape Verde, and Tenerife. Now, what an incredible holiday that sounds. Are you coming with me? Yeah. £13,499 with a lead-in fare. And I must point out that before discount, that works out £108 per person per night, or £98 after you've took that discount off. So imagine 37 places, one holiday. Could that be something your customers are looking for? And never be afraid to break that price down to per person per night, because when you are showing them they're going to 37 places, I'm sure they'll be impressed. But look, if they cannot get away for 124 nights, then we do also offer Southern Hemisphere journeys or exotic fly cruises too, which you may know as sectors. Now, Arcadia's Southern Hemisphere journeys means that our guests can sail out to Australia or New Zealand and fly home, or vice versa. So they can fly to Australia and New Zealand and then sail home, depending which leg of the cruise they want to do. Now look at this, for the Southern Hemisphere journey, this is our lead fare, Southampton to Sydney, leading in at £6,749. Now, if they want to do an exotic fly cruise, for the first time for a long time, we've actually had more sectors or exotic fly cruises on sale at launch. But Southampton to San Francisco, 23 nights at £2,599 per person. Other exotic fly cruises include San Francisco on to Sydney, Sydney to Singapore, or Cape Town back to Southampton. So utilising Arcadia, it's a great way to go further afield and be part of that epic adventure. And we can make it so easy too, because all of our fly cruise holidays include economy class flights to and from London. Now we can work with you and your customers to upgrade or offer regional flights too, because we work with so many airlines like British Airways, Etihad and Qatar. So we can offer regional flights with a supplement from around £180 per person return. So we can really tailor make some of these exotic fly cruises. And of course, we'll always include coach transfers to the port, and then if need be, an overnight hotel too. So it could not be easier. So hands up if you're selling that world cruise. Now, the Grand Tour, I might be able to get away with 75 nights. I'm not sure who I'm kidding, but hey, what about this epic adventure? And we talk about P&O Cruises being able to give your customers so much choice. A city break, a beach break, a nature adventure. You can have it all wrapped up in this Grand Tour. And Aurora will leave Southampton on the 3rd of January. And this epic adventure will see her visit 24 ports on one holiday. So she will have 2 full days to explore Montevideo, Rio de Janeiro, San Antonio for tours to Santiago, and Callao for tours to Lima. So lots of opportunity with those overnight stays to explore further afield. Now, your customers will also experience spectacular scenic cruising around Cape Horn, a transit of the Panama Canal, a call into Port Stanley in the Falkland Islands, plus soak up the sunshine in 7 Caribbean islands too. Not forgetting, they're going to go past the famous Chilean glaciers and sail through the Magellan Straits too. £7,799 per person, which is £103 per person per night before discount. What a holiday. Now, I'd love to think I could be away for that long, but this maybe is more of a realistic holiday for me. And we talked about Iona and Avia off to the Caribbean because why on earth would you sell a holiday to go to one Caribbean island when with P&O Cruises you can go to eight? And both of these XL ships are offering 14-night holidays, concentrating on the Eastern Mediterranean. So we have headline ports in Tortola, St. Martin, Martinique, Curacao, and Dominica. So you can see Iona's lead-in fare from 1749 and then Avia's lead-in fare 1799 per person. Now, something to note, both ships will have turnaround days as part of this programme on Christmas Day. So Iona will be in Barbados and Avia will be in Antigua. And they will both visit at least 8 unique islands on each holiday. Now, I know where I would rather be on Christmas, right? No mess, no cooking on board our beautiful ships. Instead, I shall be at home in my lovely little house in the New Forest, but it does not beat being in the Caribbean, right? So, look, that's something to note, those turnarounds on Christmas Day. But with both Iona and Avia, there is plenty of opportunity to also explore further afield in Barbados and Antigua because both of these will offer overnight stays across the season, depending on where your customers embark the ship. Now, we do have to reposition our ships, of course, out to the Caribbean at the end of October and then back at the mid to end of March. So we have lots of options if your customers only perhaps want to fly one way. And they can do the classic 14 or 15 night transatlantic. However, there are options up to 27 nights as well. So depending on how long your customers want to be on board, sometimes those longer duration cruises, when you break it down per person per night, offer even greater value with just one flight to worry about as well. Or not worry about because we make it so easy, make it so slick at P&O Cruises, but a nice option for you. Now, we said it was our flagship Britannia, all about that contemporary glamour. And she is the only ship that is offering a 35-night holiday over to the Caribbean from Southampton. Now, these are just the perfect holidays for those customers who don't want to fly and they want to reach the Caribbean fully recharged, taking advantage of everything that Britannia has to offer. Perhaps they'll go and learn to cook in the cookery club, you never know, learn a new skill, or just take advantage of all of the lovely other facilities that she has, whilst visiting 11 of the very best destinations in the Eastern Caribbean. And I always like to point out where the ABC Islands feature because you'll see on here we've got Bonaire, I should say, and Curacao, and it is just the best. They're just beautiful, and the ABC Islands are really, really popular with our past guests. So having been myself, I can see why. But 35 nights over to the Caribbean. So like the travel wisdom says, your customers are going to need a bigger bucket list. I can see what it said there. I lost my train of thought. Okay, let's stay a bit closer to home. Let's stay at the Canary Islands, shall we? Now, we talk about Azura with her fly cruise option, and perhaps your customer doesn't want to fly all the way to the Caribbean. They just want a short flight, 4 hours, and join Azura in Tenerife. Now, she is our social paradise at sea, and Azura will offer 2 distinct 7-night itineraries that get combined to create a 14-night holiday. All of Azura's holidays feature an overnight stay in Tenerife and also evening calls into Funchal Madeira and Gran Canaria. So that's really nice to be able to have that extra time. I always talk about the Canaries going off the beaten track. I've done so much in the Canary Islands from cruising, from pottery making to visiting a rum distillery and even a coffee plantation. So there's so much to do if you go off the beaten track and look beyond the beaches in the Canaries. But you can see here our 7-night options leading at 729 per person. And then a 14 night option, I thought it'd be nice to show you. This is where we then have the Casablanca and Agadir stop as well. So 1149 for a 14 night option. Now, for Christmas, Azura is offering something different. So, for Christmas, there'll be a 10-night holiday that leaves Tenerife and then heads down to Malaga, featuring Fuerteventura, Agadir, Lisbon for an overnight stay, and then Gibraltar en route. And then she will head back to Tenerife on her 11-night cruise before visiting Valencia, on to Barcelona for the New Year's Eve fireworks. And there will also be a call into Tangier, Lanzarote and Gran Canaria. So two very different options for Christmas. So you go to Tenerife to Malaga for 10 nights, and then her New Year cruise is Malaga back to Tenerife for 11-night options. So it just gives, again, a little bit more variety. But what a brilliant way to go and island hop around the Canaries. Okay, let's stick with going from Southampton. And you may think, why are they going to the Mediterranean in the winter? Well, you know what? It's lovely to go there without the crowds and also without the heat to go and explore these real hotspots for these itineraries. Now we have Arcadia visiting on this 19-night option in November. And you can see here we've got an evening call into Malaga. Plus we've got Kusadasi for Ephesus, Piraeus for Athens. Plus guests will explore Rhodes and Crete, two of my favourite Greek islands. So by having those extra nights, we can give our guests, get them to go even further from Southampton. And a great lead-in price too, 1999. Now, Britannia, don't forget, has that lovely 21-night option that goes in February. And this is where we've got the overnight stay in Istanbul. So I like looking at the maps because you can really get a nice feel for the routing. But 2379, again, before the discount for that 21-night option. So just maybe as spring is coming to come into the Mediterranean. Okay, I love the sunshine, so I always focus on that first. But I also love going to Spain, Portugal, and the Canary Islands. So we have so many options across the fleet. But actually, you see Britannia and Ventura doing the majority of our 14-night options to these areas. Now, across the season, you will see that we've got overnight stays in Lisbon, Tenerife and Gran Canaria on selected cruises. But other ships do visit this region. So there's a 7-night cruise on Ventura at the end of October to visit Vigo, Bilbao, La Coruña and Gijon. And then Arcadia also visits Spain, Portugal and the Canaries for her 16-night Christmas cruise. So there is plenty of options if your customers like to go from Southampton, explore Spain and Portugal too. But this is our lead-in fare. And this was the one that I said leads in just an incredible price, $929 per person. Now, if your customers want to go and explore Northern Europe and Scandinavia, of course, I said about the new Ventura deployment, and she's got 3 of these new cruises where we've got an overnight stay in Copenhagen and Oslo. So I can see the love hearts going up. I know this one is going to be very, very popular. I love Copenhagen. I went for my birthday this year and it's just amazing. If you've ever been to Tivoli Gardens, it's spectacular. If you've not been, go for it. But you know what? We have so many options around Christmas time to explore these cities because even Aurora will offer a 14-night Christmas cruise to these cities too. And the Tivoli Christmas market in Copenhagen actually stays open until the 2nd of January. So it's really nice for our customers to go and be able to soak up the festivities in some iconic ports. But Ventura's 7-night option here, $599. I can't get over some of these prices. Now, the other alternative option is the Northern European city escapes, where you do see Hamburg, Bremerhaven, and Zeebrugge for Bruges featuring across the season. Now, I always do think it's great to talk about the select price when you are looking at some of these Northern European city escapes, because with that select price, customers don't need to pay for the shuttle bus to get them to the nearest town to be able to get them in to a destination. So, for example, in Zeebrugge, we get you to Zeebrugge. If you're on the select price, you can get the shuttle bus to Blankenberg, so you can easily make your way on the train into Bruges or explore Blankenberg, which is equally lovely. So those are included, and it's just a top tip really when you are looking at the discounts and you are looking between the fare types. Just remember all of those extras as well, because even in a place like Hamburg, it's so worth it. But Hamburg, fabulous city. The Northern European cityscapes was my holiday I did last year, and it was brilliant to be there. Now, the last itinerary I wanted to point out to you is our Intimate Classic Aurora, because we've got 3 chances for your customers to go in search of the phenomenon that is the Northern Lights. And these are 12-night cruises, 1 in November and 2 in March of 2028. So they visit Tromsø and Alta, or Boda, as well as Andelsnes and Haugesund. So we do mix up some of the destinations, but look, we always say we cannot guarantee they will witness the Northern Lights, but we will put our guests in the best possible position to go in search of that. And 12 nights leading in at 1,099 per person. Tell them to wait up. Don't do what I've done. I fell asleep every time I've been up to Norway, and I've always missed the lights. So I need to get myself booked on one of these going in search of the Northern Light cruises. But how fantastic. What a programme. And look, I could have been here all day talking to you about all of the different niche ports that our cruises go into. 223 new cruises is just phenomenal. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is, of course, the flight options, because I've talked a lot about Iona and Avia being out in the Caribbean and, of course, Azura being based out of Tenerife. And if you're joining me from all around the country, you may wonder where we fly to. So we do have flight supplements for our regional air, and you can find this grid on Shine Rewards Club on the campaign page, and I have checked it's there along with the fare grid and along with the Peninsula Club cruises as well. So you will have everything you need to quote. But if you see what options we have: Belfast, Birmingham, Bristol, Glasgow, East Midlands, London, Manchester and Newcastle. And you can see the supplement is detailed there per person. Now, a few things to note: that all flight supplements are applicable to guests regardless of their age. So we're regardless of whether they're adults, children or infants. And I did ask the question, well, why infants? Well, actually, everybody on our planes anyone that's booking this gets accounted for a seat, and they get the baggage allowance. So all flight supplements for all ages. But the flight supplements are not included in the early bird discount. So if you are quoting from the fare grids for a fly cruise, quote for your, say, 2 adults, take off the 10% discount and then add on the flight supplement, which is detailed here per person. So I hope that makes sense. Just be careful. It will make a difference with your quoting. Now, it's great to see we can make it so slick, and having just come back from a P&O Cruises fly cruise, I cannot tell you how easy it is to go on one of our holidays. But we've got even more news that actually going out to the Caribbean we have got even more regional flights. I think this is more than we normally have. Look at this. For us Southerners, we've got Exeter and Bournemouth, which is great, but you can see Newcastle, Belfast, Cardiff, Edinburgh. There is so many options. And again, you can see the flight supplement, which is per person, that is not included in the early bird discount on this slide. Now, aside from these regional airs, what I should just tell you that is if anyone wants to fly out to St Kitts, only London flights will be available. So aside from anything here, anyone going from to or from St Kitts will need to fly out of London. And likewise for Antigua, only London and Manchester flights will be available. So it's just worth noting that. Once you go into the selection on Polar Online, it will be much easier. But we understand through this pre-registration period, it may be a bit tricky. For the Caribbean, we do have premium economy class on our chartered flights, and that is priced at $499 per person return, or half of that if, of course, your customer is choosing to do one of the transatlantics. But we work again with a whole range of airlines. TUI, North Atlantic, Virgin Atlantic and British Airways. So it will be subject to availability and dates. And at this stage, we won't be able to tell your customers what airline their flight will be operated on. But we know how easy and slick our fly cruises can really be. So what a collection. Question for you. Are your customers ready to holiday like never before? They may dream big and they want to explore more. And at P&O Cruises, we've absolutely got the holiday for them. Over 200 itineraries, low deposit, 10% discounts, and incredible, incredible value. What are they waiting for? So what do you need to do after this webinar? You need to head to Shine Rewards Club to the latest campaign page. Download the fare grids, the flight supplements and that Peninsula Club table so you've got all of the details that you need to quote. And then you can get promoting and pre-registering your customers. Make sure you know those dates that we talked about on the timeline so you convert your bookings onto Polar Online on the date. And never ever forget, do not forget to book, spin, win, repeat on every select price booking that you make.